Welcome to the channel, everybody. So we got something a little different today. Something I'm actually really honored to have an opportunity to bring you, and this is actually just going to be the first one. I've already got it set up that I will be able to reach out to do further interviews. Before I do so, I want to take the time to put together some more detailed questions, partially from myself and a lot from you guys, honestly. I did want to share with you guys my opportunity to talk with Kabam HoneyDew about the game. So I'm here tonight with one of the great people from Kabam HoneyDew, and we are here to talk to a little bit more about some of the characters in the game, since you have a role in the characters and stuff.
Yep.
I know you've been talking quite a bit tonight about Spider-Punk, obviously one you have a lot of love for.
Yep.
Why don't you start off telling me a little bit about the passion you have for Spider-Punk, and then I'll ask you about a couple of the champions I really love in the game.
Yeah, sure. Do you want me to do a quick intro?
Sure.
Go
ahead.
So I'm Kabam HoneyDew. I've designed a few champions for the game. I'll do lightning fast order: Misty Knight, Wong, Gallon, Rocket, the Rocket rework, Mantis, Cassie, the Seraste's boss, Dust, and now Spider-Punk. And in terms of favorites, absolutely, Punk is up there now. He's one of my favorites. He's so good, and my main drive for working on him as a champion designer was absolutely after hearing his potential release with the Summoner's Choice. Was I just really wanted to make a silly little fun rhythm game mechanic with him. I really wanted to differentiate him from the rest of the spider characters. We already have a metric ton of them in the game, and making them different is very cool, and a very big priority of our game. So literally playing into the idea of he uses his guitar for a bunch of different attacks and literally rupturing his opponent's ears off was absolutely the main goal that I wanted to do. That combined with a fun rhythm game. One of my coworkers, Kabam Mimic, brought up the very fun idea of he evades like a Spider-Verse champion, but he's counterculture, so he counterattacks you. And we lean into that super hard for it. And from there, I kind of made a character that was basically their entire gameplay loop was just intercepts and doing counterculture counterattacks all the time. And that led to the kit that we have now today, which I feel came out very well. I think he's a bit SIG oriented, but I think that's potentially to his strength. But yeah, no, I'm a big fan of how he turned out.
Okay, first off, I'm a big fan of characters that you actually have to invest in, okay?
Yeah.
First off, I've always been a collector in the game.
Yep.
I've been one of those people that after I learned the mistake in my first 6 months of selling champions, which I'm so glad is not something that new players can do anymore, because it is one of those things that I got tired of yelling at people in my alliances not to do.
Yep. Yep.
But so I've been one of those people that I want every champion at every star level at max SIG over time.
As you do. Yep.
And so I've never been, when I get excited still when I get a new 1-star or a new 2-star, and especially, a lot of people sleep on those things, but I have a maxed out 2-star roster, which comes in great whenever we get those 2-star arenas. And I'm so excited for those all the time, because they're always really great for the rewards, and I never have to worry because I always have the roster for it. But first off, you mentioned Dust. Okay, I think Dust is a great new champion that came into the game. And one of the things that I've actually talked about recently with a few people on my channel and in my alliance is the idea that looking at characters like Dust and Spider-Punk that are bringing in some new mechanics, even like Sandman, I think lend a lot of credibility to the idea that down the road we may see when mechanics play into and when technology catches up, that those are going to be the things that set up actually being able to bring Mystique into the game.
Yeah.
Because, something like Spider-Punk's up-down, swiping would be very relevant to switching who Mystique is.
Yep.
So I like seeing those elements and seeing where it could lead.
Mm-hmm.
I will tell you some of my favorite champions in the game. Tigra has become one of my all-time favorites.
I love playing Tigra as well.
My ex, a woman I absolutely love, she actually turned me on to playing Tigra. She was having a lot of fun with her, and then I got to playing her, and I think she's a great champion for learning spacing in the game.
Yes, absolutely.
Which I know is something that a lot of people have a problem with.
Yep.
Is there any other characters out there that you think their mechanics really help a newer player learn how to deal with basics in the game?
It's a bit tricky. My gut says that was actually one of the original goals that I had for Misty when I first started working on the project. When I did not have a very great understanding of the game, I don't think she performed that very well.
Okay.
I wanted you to. It was not. I want you to. It was not. I'm going to help you get better at parrying and dexing. It was more. I'm going to reward you more for parrying and dexing.
Okay.
Which is something a lot of characters already do in the game.
Yeah.
Which is why I don't think that her design has aged very well.
Okay.
I would lean more towards like, this feels like a cop-out, but I do love the modern design of Spider-Punk. Because when you have your counter evade on cooldown, you basically cannot get counter intercepted.
Okay.
When you're dashing forward, you cannot get intercepted by light attacks or medium attacks that you've mistimed. This basically gives you, as I described in Punk's Spotlight, as intercept training wheels. Because if you are a new player trying to get down intercepts, there's two ways of learning it. You have a Spider-Punk approach where I give you a get out of jail free card for it, and give you helpful tools that basically say, you messed up, but it's okay. I got you covered for this. Or you have a character like Hercules, which has Infuriate, which makes intercepts themselves an easier action. That is an interesting gameplay mechanic, but that does not teach you how to intercept with every character in the game. And for that reason, I think that Punk does a much better job of showing you how to use that mechanic to its full potential.
Okay. Now, another character that I've always really loved, that I know a lot of people slept on for a long time, was Loki.
Yeah.
Okay. And not only did I love him because of the fact that he has some really good mechanics to him, you know, the buff steal off the SP1, the unblockable special 2, and then he's got some really great synergies that actually a lot of people, even before Hercules was part of the game, didn't realize how valuable he made other characters. You know, I saw it really really early that if you took Loki and Heimdall and put them with somebody like Punisher or Corvus, or somebody who has that natural immortality with them, you could buy yourself extra time and literally go through the game with less revives and stuff like that. I think there's a lot of characters in the game that people still sleep on like this. Is there one that you think that it's very underrated that people would really benefit from using more that some people don't?
In terms of like their sustainability?
Yeah.
Like specifically? Not necessarily. Because that's something that we've gradually kind of moved further and further away from as the time gets, as the game gets updated more and more. We, especially in modern content, which is designed for players that have been playing for a long time, we are really emphasizing you to bring in very specific champions. And so combos like that Hercules Heimdall plus a sustain character don't work as well anymore. And that's intended, because we want you to do your best to become a collector, to gain as many champions as you can so that you always have an answer to the problems that we present to you. Sometimes those problems are not super clear, and sometimes you will die in EQ a lot, or in the event quest a lot. But overall, I would lean away from like saying that there isn't too much of a secret sauce towards finding large amounts of sustain, or I don't know, the equivalent of like effectively revive farming. Effectively doing revive farming by just making your champions last for a longer period of time to survive longer. But more so, outside of bringing in characters like Rintra or Sasquatch, which just have a metric ton of health out of the gate, there isn't going to be too much of an answer, because even if you bring in that Loki, that Heimdall combo, they can only answer so many RPG questions. They can only beat so many quests before you get locked out by requiring critical hits or requiring power gain or requiring I don't know, increased combo gain or something like that.
Okay. Now, another thing that I know that the community talks about often is anytime we get a brand new champion like Onslaught or, those God tier champions, Bullseye, it's normally 3-4 months down the road, we get a champion that's very much so a counter to them.
Correct.
Okay. Now, is that very intentional that we do it that way, or is it more so that it just kind of works out that way?
It is usually planned.
Okay.
Largely it is planned. We've run into a few specific situations, like a lot of people are seeing Prowler as an answer to Bullseye. That was not his core intention. We do have plans to do similar stuff to what we've done for characters like Onslaught, where we will ship out proper counters, because unfortunately, this is a live service game, and we do need to make money.
Yeah.
So we do need to present a problem and then grant you a solution later on. There is answers. You can, using specific characters and a lot of skill, you can deal with Onslaught very effectively still. But there's no character that will bypass Onslaught for free.
Yeah.
Currently in the game, as far as I know, with my current knowledge. Somebody on Reddit might jump scare me any day now of like some pre-fight combo and synergy combo, but that is very much intended, and that's actually something of a topic that we are discussing on the champion design team, because especially with how many incredibly strong defenders we've shipped in the past roughly 3/4 of a year, with a lot of really strong contenders like Bullseye, like Maestro, like so on and so forth. We're looking into potentially diversifying how we plan our defenders going forward. That will largely mean that defenders themselves will change. However, our plan to provide counters at a reasonable time frame will most likely not. But everything is very subject. We are constantly, as the design team, we're constantly iterating on the things that we are doing, and when it comes to making defenders, when it comes to making good attackers that counter said defenders, we're iterating on that schedule constantly. And so I can't give you any specific details,
No, obviously.
of course, but it's something that we're actively looking at. And if you, as a player that I'm talking to right now, if you do not find things specifically about like not having an answer to Onslaught or not having an answer to Bullseye or specific defenders, let us know. Please do. Because we do look at the subreddit, we do look at Twitter, we do look at all of these different resources for us to look and listen to you, and let us know what you think about things, because we are constantly trying to make the game a healthy state, which is fun for you and dynamic enough for you that we can't give you everything for free, but we also want to provide a little bit of challenge along the way. So.
Okay, now, caveat to that, guys, always remember constructive and helpful criticism, not just attacks.
We are human beings. We're very much human beings.
And that's something I definitely wanted to illustrate with actually talking to you for a moment. That's one of the things that I think some people forget.
Yes.
Is that there is such a human element behind this game as well. Like, yeah, maybe, I talked about it tonight with John about the idea that, I would like to get into working for Kabam at some point, especially in the marketing department, which is where my background is from. And, he said that, getting some people that understand the game into the company that have been playing it and have a passion for it would definitely be something that you guys are looking towards getting more and more of. But it is also, I understand as well, like, first off, I think the 900K in Poolies was a phenomenal thing for you guys to do, in spite of even with the amount of spend that was there as well. Knowing that you could get the top possible rewards or spread it out however you wanted to and not have to spend whatsoever, I think it was a very powerful move. Okay, so I think that was great from a marketing perspective. I do understand some of the things where sometimes the community gets upset about, like
a lot of things.
Some things like the 4th of July incident. Where most of us weren't planning for that much of a spend. I can understand a little bit of the upset. But it is definitely one of those things that I'm really excited. The last thing, I kind of touched on this inside before we were live.
Yep.
One of the things that really kind of I see come up often is with so many characters in the Marvel Universe, why do we get so many rehashed characters? Why do we have so many Spider-Man? Why do we have so many Iron Man?
Because they're cool. And that's honestly the reason. It's because, like, as much as I've seen so many people complain that, like, Spider-Punk is just another Spider-Man, which is technically very true. But we want to do our best to introduce new mechanics and new gameplay styles that impact the way that these characters are made. We don't want to do things like, I don't know, we don't want to add, this is a terrible example, but like Captain America World War I to our roster of 2 Captain Americas, which are already kind of bad in the game. We can't really work with those as well, because why would we do that when we could just make, we could just rework one of the other Captain Americas. Yeah. It's just very plain. But with somebody like Spider-Punk, you have a lot of options to build off of that. You can do cool, unique gameplay mechanics, and I think we also did a pretty good job. We did a pretty good job representing that with characters like Ironheart.
Yeah,
it is another suit of Iron Man.
But it is definitely a very different character.
Exactly, she has different forms of utility. She plays a bit differently, and she plays like Riri. She does not play like Tony Stark, and I think that is an important aspect that does go underlooked. We know that, like, getting another, like, Ironheart is kind of meh, considering we also just got, like, an Iron Man rework, but we also know that there's a lot of value in using characters that are A, recognizable, and B, that we as the design team feel confident about. And our design team felt very confident in adding Ironheart to the game and making her feel like more than just a suit of Tony Stark's armor.
Yeah, see, that's one that I like. I don't even see that as another Iron Man.
Yeah, exactly.
Because first off, I understand the comics, and I understand that it's a very different character. So, you know, it that's like if you guys had put in, oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to blank names.
It's okay, you can stall.
Rescue. If you put in Rescue, okay, which is Pepper's armor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
That would have been a very different character at the same time.
agree.
You know, she doesn't fight the same way Tony does. She doesn't think the same way Tony does.
Yep.
So like that, you know, 5 Iron Men that are all Tony. I mean, I can understand it to a point. There's what, 70 some Iron Man suits, if not more.
Probably more. I was going to say more.
But 70 normally active ones.
Yes.
You know, and then, so, like, I can see it to a point, but at the same time, it is definitely, like, one of those things that I understand the community's thought process of how many Spider-Man do we need, how many, you know, and I get Miles is different, you know, Spider-Man 2099 is different, you know, so Spider-Punk is a different, you know, and, you know, I know almost everybody has been extremely happy with Spider-Man.
Yes.
So, so I do see both sides of it, but I did want to kind of get your viewpoint on the idea of.
I will say that, like, over time, we have done our best to avoid doing characters that are too samey or too boring.
Yeah.
We try to avoid characters that are, their superpower is just I punch people really hard.
Yeah.
Because that's not exciting. We can't make very fun gameplay out of that, and it's probably not going to be very interesting from a player perspective. That could be arguable. You can maybe think of a few examples, but, like, we don't want to add the terrible Captain America World War I.
Yeah, no. I totally get it. Like, the only reason I hesitated when you said that was because obviously we all know that I'm looking to rank 3 Hulk.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's no more, like, punch.
Yeah. Because the thing is that, like, we already have a Punch Man. We have OG Hulk. We don't want another one that's exactly like it.
No, and I agree. Yeah. I totally do. So, and that's absolutely wonderful, and I love getting a little bit more insight into that. And I want to really, truly thank you again for coming out.
Yeah,
not only for the meetup, but taking the time to really sit down and talk to us, tell us a little bit more, and understanding how important the community is to this game. I know I've heard it for years. There's so many people I know personally who would have quit this game if it was just the game.
Yep.
If it wasn't for the community.
Yeah.
So the fact that you guys recognize us YouTubers and the fans and everybody else and actually want to take the time and spend time with us and talk to us and actually want to hear our input as well is really appreciated. And I know you guys don't hear it nearly enough, but truly, thank you.
Thank you very much. It's wonderful to come out here and meet all the wonderful fans and content creators that make our game special. Like, as somebody who's also been a part of numerous different other like gaming communities, like the community is absolutely, especially personally for me, like the community is what drives a lot of my passion for a lot of games that I like playing. So I'm glad that you guys are here too.
Yeah. Well, guys, obviously I'll do the normal wrap up at the end of this actual video, but if you guys have any more questions for Kabam, I'm sure I'll have a little bit more ability to talk to a few more Kabam people going forward.
We can do more of these in the future.
And definitely we'll get together and talk and everything. Send me over any questions you have and we'll set up a time and I will see what we can get answered for you guys. But I really want to thank everybody for taking the time, listening to everybody, and just knowing. And I hope next year that more of you can come out and join us for the meetup. And real quick, just because he's lurking, by the way, Panda Man, say hi. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, guys. So I will see you guys next time. Thank you, guys. I do really so much so want to thank again each of the members of the Kabam team, both Kabam Crash and obviously Kabam HoneyDew, for coming down for the Seattle meetup, and a extra special thanks to Kabam HoneyDew for allowing me to do the interview and being willing to allow me to reach out in the future as well. So if you guys have further questions, which I'm sure you guys have lots of, leave them in the comments below. I'm going to start gathering them up. I will set up a time in the coming months to do a more formal interview with more organized questions and be able to get into it a little bit more. But this was absolutely amazing, and I cannot thank them nearly enough for everything that they were willing to do for me, and for you guys and for the community. So I absolutely love it, and I'm looking forward to the next meetup. We'll be doing more in the future. I promise you guys that. But until then, guys, I hope everybody has a great day, a great night, and pulls a God tier champion soon. And until the next time, guys, I love you. Peace out.